20 years of political deadlock in Somalia means the country has been a failed state. With no elected government in place and an unelected militia group, Al-Shabaab, controlling large areas of the country, the situation in Somalia for the past 2 decades has been a nightmare to both Africa and the international community. Okay, shall we start with the implications of this conference? What do you think can be done to make Somalia safe and at least peaceful? Let's start with the lady, Hilan.
Well, I think a lot can be done. What we first must understand is the opportunities the conference brings. It brings a great deal of opportunity. It's the first time in 20 years where Somalia has a light shining on it and it's taking centre stage. What we must do as people, as British citizens, we should be able to have a positive input. Okay. And the key thing that we should welcome is resources and not handout. Everything that's given to the Somali government must be declared clearly, and how it's used should also be measured. I'm also a great believer of equipping the people and the people of Somalia and teaching them how to better themselves, getting them to do their own work rather than outsourcing it, basically. So as long as all those things can be put in place, we'll be in a better place.
Okay. So the Africa mission for Somalia, that's the AMISOM army, has been in the country for several years now. And do you think any progress has been made to restore security back to Somalia? That should be coming from Mr. Elmi.
Well, I think in AMISOM troop, with the help of Somalian army together, I think they have made a tremendous step, which I think they made some sort of level of hope. I think we have to be look at it, the job they have done in the past, and they have been cleared up in the capital, Somalia, Mogadishu. Mainly Al-Shabaab has been defeated, and hearing the news again, with the help of Somalian troop and Ethiopians, went to Baydhaba, which came up yesterday, and that been absolutely good news as well. And it was also in good timing where London conference are gathering 50 nation countries, looking at the Somali stability and how the Somali they can help themselves. But I think yes, we can say that they did a great job.
Okay, let's look at Al-Shabaab. It is reported to have said the conference was another attempt to colonize Somalia, and that Britain must understand that Muslims have long rejected British imperialism over the years. Is that a general view of the Somali people?
Well, to be honest, the reality is today Somalia is in grave economically and political terms, and they need to come out this. So in this case, the Shabab, they state that they say there is a new imperialism coming from Britain. That's what they want to get sympathy from the Somali people, to get help. But in that case, all the Somali people, those who are positively and constructively thinking that the outcome of this conference will be something that the Somali people will get benefit, they don't listen for that. But it's kind of propaganda that Al-Shabaab, they made into to get sympathy to the people, Somali people. But if you see Al-Shabaab, they lost a lot of places, which is a very key town, as the German says, Baydhabo city recently. And the government troops, which they get help from the Ethiopian forces and AMISOM, they will advance more cities to go. So in that issue, all the people who have the negativity, they will say that Somalia will go into a new imperialism or new colony from the Britain. But in the 21st century, I don't think such a very advanced country will put back into a country who have its own sovereign for the last 50 years, will put into a colonization.
Yeah, but don't you think Britain has a special interest having a conference?
Well, David Cameron, he mentioned, you know, when they announced last year, November, they will hold a conference in London, that the Britain, they will have their own interest, which is the security, which is the piracy, and they should get a Somali stable government to get, you know, the British, their interest. there's no doubt British has interest.
Yeah, they're
on this.
protecting their interests,
Yeah.
so that's what you think.
But one thing, if you look at Somali people, we got that all the international eye, they turn on their eyes again, Somalia, which has been forgotten the last 2 decades. So in that case, it's good opportunity for Somalis and the British as well. So we hope that we will get some progress for this conference.
There's always an interest. And in terms of life, there's give and take. So what we have to understand is from the Somali community, it's what's been given greater than what we're going to receive, what's going to be taken. So long as we question that, we've been without government for 20 years. We've lost, there's been a lot of bloodshed. The country is unstable and unreliable in almost every way possible. So what we have to understand is from the conference, from the attendees and British taking a lead, we have to welcome it and see the benefit it brings, which is a lot more. I mean, we all know where developed world, as long as our government is equipped correctly and supported correctly from their own people and the people that they represent, then there won't be there'll be more or less give and take rather than just take and no benefits.
The root
That's
cause
what
of
you
the Somalia problem could be traced to the different clans trying to have a slice of the power over the years.
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Yes, of course. So unless now the Somalia, even the current, 550 member parliament of Somalia, they're based on clans.
Okay.
See, because every major clan they said, okay, you have a 20, and then the elders, and or maybe I don't know how you called the leader of the clans will choose who will be nominee to the member parliament. But they're not choosing about what the person can contribute to the country, and they give an access whoever they need. So unless we have different systems to change the old systems, I think that would be very difficult to maintain that and to succeed.
I think what we have to understand is the role that women play in our government and in our daily lives. I mean, in terms of the diaspora, the Somali diaspora, there's over 3 million out of Somalia. Okay, and that 3 million together, they contribute 2.2 billion a year in remittance, that money that they send back. Most of that money and most of that contribution, it's women-led, women household, women looking back of what they've left and sympathising with other women who have children who don't have much. Okay, so we have to understand that in terms of, as a female perspective, we have to come together, we have to put a stop to what the guys are doing. And I think if every woman made her own initiative to back down if her husband, her brother, whoever is in role, because the main leaders are men, okay, and main powers of government are men. But each man didn't come from the ground by himself. He has a wife, a mother or a sister of one way or another. And each man, if he was doing something wrong, it should be our duty to stand back and say, we don't agree with you. I think women can come together and say, we don't agree with you. We are the ones who are suffering. We are the major contributors to the economy in terms of GDP. We should have a better say.
Okay, let me quickly talk about something really, really topical and debatable, the issue of religion and the way men relate with women in Somalia. And have you been having problems trying to convince men, and what have the women's societies been doing to sensitize men and the general society?
I think most people blow religion out of proportion. I mean, we are all Muslims, and I'm a great believer as well. But still, you can play an active role. You can influence the way the country is governed and the way life is. Yeah,
because what I'm saying is like there is this general belief that Somali women don't have a voice. I'm asking you as well because I also ask the men.
I believe that as well. It's not that they don't have a voice because of the religion. I think it's because they don't have a voice because of how things have been done. But that's the kind of thing that I would like to see change. And after the meeting with the Prime Minister on Monday, one of the key things that I raised with him was, what measures are you going to put in place to ensure there's better representation of women on the government, on the Somali government, and what roles will you be playing? One thing that everyone kept missing was, why is Britain taking lead in doing the summit? One thing that we mustn't forget is there's over 350,000 British Somalis in the UK that are taxpayers, okay? Britain is the third largest contributor in terms of aid to Somalia. And that aid, it's not coming out of David Cameron's pocket, it's coming out from taxpayers' pocket. So we as a diaspora in the UK, and as a female perspective, a young person, we should be able to say what is done with our money and where does the money go. I mean, I was quite shocked when he said to us, 1.6 billion of aid is given to the Somali government every year, and it is due to increase. 1.6 billion is a lot of money. And the split is 60-40 Somaliland and 60% Somalia. But still, where does the money go? How is it spent? It's a lot of money. And what you have to understand is, even though I welcome the Amazon troops and the job they have done, but Amazon troops, it's not a long-term. It's not a long-term thing. It's something short-term that's going to go. Why don't we train our own troops and pay them? Because Somalian troops at one point haven't been paid for almost a year and they will still serve in the army. Why pay foreign troops $1,000+ a month and nothing to the Somali national? So it's those kind of things. If you want to create pride with someone in someone and in their homeland, you have to cure their hunger first.
Good. And now, in the Hot Seat studio for International Women's Day Special, Mimi Fowers.
Good evening and welcome to Hot Seat. Our African proverb today says, "A home without a woman is like a barn without cattle." This year's UN theme for International Women's Day is Empower Rural Women, End Hunger and Poverty, one of the Millennium Development Goals set out in 2000. Globally, International Women's Day is an occasion to honor and praise women for their accomplishments. Most women in Africa take this day to rest from everyday responsibilities of looking after the family and the household. Sandra, can you give us your view in terms of what you think about the perceptions that people have around the world about religious women?
I give an example. When I got married, my colleague at work says, "Oh, well, you're a Christian, so you're going to be submissive to your husband. Does it mean that if he says, go and wash my clothes, you have to run and do it and do this and do that?" And I said, listen, submission is not about being on the floor and letting your husband walk in on you. That's not what submission is. Submission is just, according to the Bible, is just be able to listen to your husband and be able to give him advice. Submission should be, normally, submission should be to one to other, to one to the other. You are submissive to your husband is also in a way submissive to you. But I say, yeah, even though the Bible says women be submissive to your husband, the Bible also says, men, love your wife. Does it mean that a woman should not love her husband? Of course she should, because I believe God knows the heart of a woman, and a woman, inside of a woman, she already have love. So God didn't have to emphasize on the fact that a woman has to love the husband, but he had to emphasize on the fact that a woman has to be submissive, because he knows what a woman has within herself. She has that powerful ability, she has so many ideas, so she needs something, kind of barriers, limit to know what she can do and what she's not able to do. So being submissive, I think, it just helps the family to be stable, and it helps also the husband.
That's a bit controversial, you're saying being submissive helps the family to be more stable, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, definitely, because, when you're submissive to your husband, let me give an example. Your husband get a job, and he asks you your opinion on what he should do or not. You can only give him an advice on what you think is good for him. And let's say he says, no, I believe my option is the best. You let him go. That's submission. Because you can only give your opinion. But the problem is, if the man is not able to give you the ability of giving your opinion, then it's different. But if he gives you that space where you can say what you think, then, he helps you, and then that's good for the family. It's a good balance. I don't know if you get what I'm saying.
I don't, sorry.
Okay.
No,
do
you want to come back?
you understand what I'm saying? No?
I don't,
What-
sorry.
okay.
I don't
What do
understand
you-
the whole
what do you
concept of
disagree with?
submitting to anyone.
But I
because
think the definition of
Let's
submission.
first go to what Marie-Ange first
Okay,
before we
yeah,
get
sorry.
to the
So, yeah,
definition. What do you disagree in terms of the whole statement about submission?
I think it's too much of a strong word for what it is, because being in a relationship with somebody is about being humble and being able to take on what the other has, who they are, what they want to achieve, etc. So you have that level of flexibility, and I don't know whether that's what that means, whether being flexible or not. But I just really struggle with the idea of submitting to someone you already love. You know, someone
More
who's
of a
already
dialogue or
yeah.
compromise.
The
That's
problem
not.
is, from the beginning, it's been seen as a negative word.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
that's
submission
what I was
is
gonna
not
say.
negative at all.
Yeah.
It is actually positive. It's good to be submitted. Let's say you are in a classroom and then you've got a teacher, and then everyone wants to speak at the same time. No, everyone cannot speak at the same time. You have to have a leader who can actually say you and then you and then you. So that's what submission is about. Let's say you are in a family where you've got yourself, the husband, and few children. One child wants to do this, the other one wants to do that. You give your opinion, but someone has to close. I mean,
Do you always listen to your husband?
I always do. Even if,
As
even
an
if,
independent woman working in a professional environment as well and going home, do you not? Why do you feel like you have to be submissive to your husband?
because I
always?
have to be obedient to God, and actually,
your husband is
it
not
actually
God.
saved me a lot of trouble as well.
But
I must say.
your husband isn't God. Your husband is another human being just like you.
Yes, it is. But what I'm trying to say, ladies, is just that submission is just good for the health of the family. A family where there is no submission, it will be a family that will be destroyed at the end.
But isn't the
Because
right word
a
that
man-
you're looking for
let-
dialogue
let
or
me say that.
compromise?
Let me say that quickly. A man needs to have that insurance that he has authority. That's how God has created man.
See, I don't really.
you know,
Yeah, I don't. Authority is something you gain because you prove to be legitimate and responsible for that authority. It's something you gain. You're not you can't have authority on somebody just because of who you are. You need to gain that because it comes with trust and accountability and responsibility. So I think it's very much down to each couple and how they want to work out their relationship and where they want to place trust and flexibility or submission, as you want to call
I
it.
don't think
I need
that-
to jump in at this
I was going to
point.
say, I want Adeline first, if you can quickly
I'll
make
need to
your
jump in.
response, because we need to go to a break, then we can continue with this heated discussion.
And submission is something that should be in any relationship, be it with your daughter, be it with your son, be it with your husband.
I don't believe that
And I
because-
am submitted to my husband. It doesn't mean I do not disagree with my husband.